All right, I'm pleased to be joined by Shane Burgos and Lyman Good. You guys are at the gym. Lyman just got there, apparently a 1 hour drive. And you do this, what, almost every day or every day?
Every other day, and I'm trying my best just to get out here as much as I can throughout the week, especially during the training camps. But in general, about 3 times out of the week, maybe four sometimes if I can get it in.
Cool. Well, you guys have been training together for some time at Tiger Schulman Gym. Lyman, obviously a bit of a scare recently for you. You were the first UFC fighter to come out and say that they've been tested positive for COVID-19. You've since recovered. What was that like for you, I guess, to be at home for those weeks, knowing that there might have been others that you put in jeopardy that you were able to touch base with, thankfully, and you caught it early?
My first means of concern was just to minimize any spreading. So as soon as I got the symptoms, I let everybody know, and I went to go get tested because my priority was just to make sure that I wasn't gonna spread this thing to anybody else, especially my coaches, my teammates, and anybody that I was in contact with. There weren't that many people that I had around me. It was the same group. So and just to minimize any spreading or anything, as soon as I found out, I just stayed home, let everybody know, and I went and get tested.
So, Shane, when he tells you this news, what's your instant reaction?
I was, I was like, no way. I was like we kept it so small. We really haven't been training with a big group at all. He had that fight with Bilal on April 18th that was coming up. So what we were doing is we had a small group of guys that were just training specifically for him. So it was the same guys. And we just kept circulating the same guys. And when he got it, we were like, oh, we probably all got it too. But none of us got it. I didn't get tested, but one of my teammates got tested for the antibodies. One of the other guys we were working with, and he didn't have the antibodies, so that means that we didn't get it, and I haven't had any symptoms from it. So I assumed that I would have probably had it already, but I haven't.
One of your coaches ended up getting it as well?
Yes.
Yeah, and he's since recovered. I think you mentioned the Ariel Hawani as well. So when you find this out, obviously, do you know, Lyman, where you got this or how you contracted it? Could it have been community, or do you have any idea?
I couldn't tell you. We're in the middle of a pandemic where this thing spreads so fast and so easily that it's hard to really, figure out how it's spreading around. But as far as how I got it, I couldn't really tell you. I tried to keep the same group of people that I was in contact with constant. It wasn't anybody new. But man, this thing it's just hard to contain, and know exactly. You yourself could do everything right, but it's hard to know the people that you are around, who they may have been in touch with, and where they've been, and there's only so much control you can have over your environment and the people that you're around.
Yes, I'm in Toronto, and we have obviously some cases here, but I don't know anybody in particular, aside from one individual, that has tested positive for COVID-19. Obviously, in New Jersey and New York, it's a lot worse. How many people do you know that have contracted the coronavirus at some point?
I mean, I know him, I know his girlfriend, I know my coach, I know a bunch of family friends, not direct family members, but a lot of family friends have gotten it. So I can't even give you a number, honestly. It's been a decent amount for me. For him, it's probably been more.
Yeah, I run a school, a martial arts gym in the city, and one of my students unfortunately passed away from it, and I have a lot of students reaching out to me and letting me know that either somebody that they know was sick with it or had passed away from it. So it's quite a few people that I'm aware of.
That's terrible. So a student, how old was the student?
He was young. He was 27, 28.
Yeah, it's pretty unbelievable because there was a lot of, I guess, misinformation early that it can only affect the elderly in terms of, whether or not people could die from it. And we've since learned that that's not the case. Obviously, in MMA, there was a photographer for the New York Post, Anthony Kazi, who was at a lot of these events. It also passed away from it. So, and he was a younger guy with young children. So it's really scary to hear that kind of thing.
Yeah. That's why we've been, like I said, we've been doing the same. Nobody new has been coming in. We kept it the same. If you're sick, you stay home. You don't come back until you feel better. Or if at all. We haven't had anyone that's gotten sick really besides Lyman, but he went and got tested before he even came back. So he didn't even feel comfortable coming back unless he got a positive test or a negative test that he was 100% clear.
Yeah, I wanted to kind of clarify a little bit of the fear that was going on, which is much understood why there's fear, but I also again just want to make sure my conscience was clear and to make sure nobody would get it. So as soon as I felt good, I gave myself some time to really recover, and then I went to go get tested again because I wanted it in writing that I was 100% fine, that I was negative, and that it wasn't in my body at all. I wouldn't feel right otherwise. I didn't come out here to train with the guys unless I got that first.
Yeah, from hearing your story, it seems like you took a really responsible approach. You went and got tested just because you had found some sort of symptoms, and then you went and got tested afterwards. And you've also since been working with the Red Cross to try to donate some blood for the antibodies. And I saw in India yesterday, they revealed that there was a successful test where I believe a successful case of recovery with plasma transfer. So it looks like they're working on some new ways of combating this.
Yeah. I'm excited, to hear that news because there's a lot of uncertainty. Like we were saying before, there's so much misinformation out there, and there's no certainty over what works, what doesn't, ways to get around it. All we can do is just try. So I figured since I beat this thing, it doesn't hurt. It costs me nothing, to be able to just give blood. All it is just the cost of blood. I don't care. I'll give blood. My blood will regenerate. But if I can do that in the hopes of helping somebody out there, then I figured why not? Turn this negative into a positive as much as I could.
Absolutely. Well, I appreciate you guys joining me. And Shane, I know that you were a free agent, and I guess recently in the last month or so, re-signed with the UFC on a 4-fight deal. Tell me about that process, because it was a bit of a long process for you.
Yeah, it was a long process to say the least. I got a new management team since then, and we've been working, and we talked to some other promotions, but at the end of the day, we decided to go with the UFC for number one reason it's the best promotion in the world, obviously. But number two reason is USADA was a big motivating factor for me signing. I want to compete in a clean sport, and feel like USADA has. I mean, it's not perfect at all, and there's still guys that are getting away with cheating. But I feel like UFC will have the guys that are the least amount of cheaters in the organization.
What made you decide to switch management to go over to first round management with Malky and Abe Kawa? I guess both of you guys signed on with them.
Yeah, we did. There's a couple of different reasons, some personal, but main reason is just that I feel like they're the best, and that I wanted to be with the best, and the deal I got from them, this new UFC deal, I'm more than happy with.
We went out to Florida to go meet them in person. They were very accommodating, and I think we pretty much based it off of how we felt. We're very keen on genuine connections and knowing that whoever we're dealing with are people who are going to give 100%, since we're giving 100% of our body and our soul into the sport. Yeah. So we wanted somebody who's going to give 100% as well, nothing less, and they seem to fit the match. They were very cool people, very family oriented.
Yep.
I mean, traveling to Miami certainly doesn't hurt either. I mean, when you're in the middle of winter in New York, they had a bit of a leg up on you guys in that situation.
Yeah, Miami's beautiful, especially in January.
So that's cool. I'm glad that you're back, Shane. And I mean, there are so many good matchups in the featherweight division for you right now. The division is just so stacked. And after watching your last fight, I mean, you can't help but be really excited about seeing your future in the UFC.
I can't wait to be back, man. I'm working on something now. We're looking at sometime in June. No opponent yet, but I want to be back ready, man. I've been training for these he had that training camp, and I was basically put myself in training camps too. So I've been in training camp since March, waiting for a fight.
Shane's somebody he's always training, man. This doesn't come from him. It's me, telling you guys. This guy's always just ready for action, always ready to hop on a fight at any given point, because he's always putting in the time, even when there's no fight going on. So I'm excited to see him go out there.
Thank you, bro.
Yeah, one of my favorite backstage moments is right before you went out to fight Cub Swanson. You looked at me and gave me the devil horns. Usually people are just so in their element, but you were able to just take that one moment to show me that it was game time.
Yeah, man, that was almost a year ago exactly. I got that memory just popped up. It's fight week a year ago. I need to be back, man. I'm chomping at the bit. It's been too long. I got a family. I got bills to pay. This whole COVID going on. I haven't really been making money, so I need to get back in there. And
Lyman, you were supposed to fight Bilal Muhammad, UFC 249. Obviously, with your situation and, of course, with the date getting moved, that might be in flux right now. Also, Bilal is observing Ramadan right now, although he has fought during Ramadan in the past. Is there any clarification on your situation right now?
No, I'm pretty set to go. We're in the middle of pretty much talking with the UFC. My management, Malky and Abe, we're reaching out to the UFC to discuss something coming up pretty soon. I'm hoping maybe Bilal will take up that fight, but at the end of the day, it's whoever. I'm ready to fight. Point being is I'm healed, I'm 100% recovered, and I'm ready to go. Ready to get back out there.
I've explained to a lot of people, obviously there's a lot of heat on the UFC for wanting to be the first ones back and for putting on an event. But the UFC is kind of uniquely positioned to do these events. Obviously, if you look at basketball, hockey, baseball, these are people that are on the same team. They're with each other day in and day out. They're practicing. They're all healthy, so they could easily be asymptomatic. Whereas the UFC, people come in for fight week. You obviously you compete and then you go home. And then you can, of course, self-isolate for 14 days, which I think is probably what everybody's going to do after that for the health and safety of their families. But then you're not at another event for 3 months. Do you think that that's why the UFC is in a good place to come back earlier than a lot of other sports?
I think so, and big thing for that is MMA isn't a team sport, which I think is huge. It's a team sport as in we have to get ready with the team, but actually being in the cage, it's you, a referee, and another fighter, and then you get the 3 judges on the outside. I feel like it's probably the easiest sport to control if you think about that, because you don't have these 10-person teams or whatever it is for these other sports.
So little people involved, it's easy to minimize, the amount of people that we get in contact with and stuff. And like Shane said, I think it's probably one of the easier sports, if anything, to regulate and to, keep on going during this, the COVID thing going on right now.
And Lyman, as someone who's lined up for 4 hours in a drive-in, basically, or a drive-through to get tested in New Jersey, you obviously know that the testing is not the easiest thing. If you could offer some sort of advice to the UFC on how they could do this in the safest possible manner, what kind of advice would you give them, or what would you like to see them do?
As far as advice, I'm not a doctor. I'm not gonna, tell people what to do or what not to do. Obviously, there's a lot of fear out there, and more importantly, there's a lot of information out there that is very confusing, conflicting, and people don't really know what to do. And I think that's part of the reason why there's so much fear going on and being spread throughout the media and society, is because misinformation. You do this, you get sick. If you stay home, you get sick. It's like there's no other ways around it. I would say that, first and foremost is to start with the mind. Tell yourselves, like, we all gotta kind of get away from this whole fear mongering. And this is coming from someone who got it, and to let everybody know, I'm trying to turn this whole situation to a positive, to let everyone know that it's okay. I'm one of the people who beat it, but I am amongst thousands of others that did also. There was no secret remedy. There's nothing I did. It's just, to me, it felt like a really bad flu. It's unfortunate that there are people that are having a harder time with it. But at the end of the day, as far as advice, just follow, simple procedures, minimize contact with people as much as as you're able to. But cleaning your hands and all that stuff. I can't tell you, aside from that, really what to do. Because at the end of the day, there's just, this is a pandemic that we're all going through, something we're all going through together. So I can't really answer your question, to be honest.
Do you think that all the athletes should get tested for the coronavirus, though, before they compete?
For that, yeah.
I even agree with that.
Yeah, that, of course. Yeah. That goes without saying. Yeah. But
that's just better to be safe than sorry. Not just for the guy we're fighting, but I think just for our training camp, because obviously you can't train by yourself, so it'll make sure we're all safe and healthy. And then on top of that, for your opponent, whoever you're going there with, he knows that you're clean. You know that he's clean.
Yeah. And I wouldn't enter a training camp unless I had done the test again, just for it to come back negative.
Absolutely. Well, we hope that they can rebook that for you, Lyman. I can tell that you're itching to get back in there. And I know Bilal Muhammad's a great competitor. That would be a real fun fight for the fans.
Yeah, it'd be an awesome fight. I can't wait for it. Hopefully it will happen. We'll see what happens.
I saw you had reached out to Bilal afterwards. Did he send you a message back?
I did. I reached out on Twitter, shortly after the news that I was out of the card. I was just letting him know, I hope he's well. God has a plan. And one day we'll have our day. He reached back very cordially. He said thank you, and I think that was it. Aside from that, the only communication left is just for us to fight. It's been a long time overdue, and I'm excited for that one if it happens.
What do you think it does for society when these fights come back? I mean, a lot of people are looking for any sort of semblance of normalcy. Do you think that it's going to really help, I guess, the morale of people that are fans of this sport?
Hell yeah, I think so. Yeah, I mean, I'm a huge freaking fan of the sport, man, and not having any live fights for when was the last one? Middle of March. I'm chomping the bitch just to watch some fights. Sorry for my cursing, but I'm going crazy just not being able to watch any sports. I'm not even a sports fan. I want to watch sports. Like I don't like MMA and boxing really, but I need sports to come back.
Did you watch the NFL draft?
I didn't. I've seen plenty of stuff about it, but I didn't watch it.
My idea for the NFL draft is they should have just done one pick a night and had live sports every night for like do 2 rounds. And you have 60 days of live sports.
That's a good idea, actually. That's a really good idea.
Yeah, they should hire me as an advisor for the NFL. All right, guys, thank you for your time. I really appreciate it. And Lyman, it's great to see that you're healthy and that your girlfriend's healthy, your coach is healthy, and that you guys pulled through this. I'm really sorry to hear about the student, obviously, of your school. That's obviously horrible to hear. And everybody who's going through this and those who have lost people, it's been a really horrific situation for everybody. And I'm just happy to see that you were able to pull through this, as an individual, as for your team. And I'm sure Shane is happy to have you next to him right now.
Oh, yeah.
Excited to be back. Yeah, thank you.
Thanks for the time, brother.